One $20 mistake is all it takes for a marine surveyor to flag your pride and joy as negligent, locking you out of insurance and sending your dream boat straight to the bottom of the pile. Yet the secrets to passing inspection are not locked in code books or hidden on some distant dock. They are sitting on any workbench, a handful of hardware, a label, a cheap fix, 10 red flags you can erase for less than the price of lunch. But how do PROs spot trouble before you even speak? And which $3 misstep is most likely to sink your deal? The answers are hiding in plain sight. Surveyors don't waste time on guesswork. The moment they step aboard, their eyes hunt for patterns, neatness, security, and the trail of recent work. A tangled mess of wires or a jumble of loose parts tells its own story. It's not about finding every hidden flaw, it's about reading the room. 3 cues decide whether they dig deeper: how organized the space appears, how firmly things are fastened, and whether there is proof of ongoing care. A clean labeled panel with tight connections and visible dates on tags signals a boat that is actively managed. In contrast, chaos, random tools, unlabeled switches, or rusted clamps acts like a beacon for trouble. Surveyors are trained to trust their gut, but their gut is built on years of pattern recognition. Within minutes, they decide if a vessel is run by a PRO or a weekend tinkerer. That first impression shapes the entire inspection. If order is the rule, most surveyors move on quickly. If chaos dominates, every corner gets a second look. These split-second judgments are not just habits, they are the backbone of every survey. Learning to see your boat through this lens is the first step to passing the test before it even begins. Every fix in this playbook comes with its own price tag. As each part hits the workbench, a digital receipt pops up: $5 for a heat shrink connector, $3 for a stainless hex nut, $8 for a terminal boot. That is not just window dressing, it is a running tally, proof that you can buy confidence for less than the price of lunch. But the real secret is knowing when something fails the test. The moment an amateur shortcut lands on the table, a wire nut, a wing nut, an unlabeled switch, the lighting shifts, a buzzer sounds, and the red flag motif takes over. These cues are not just for drama, they are your cheat sheet for what triggers a surveyor's suspicion. Each time the buzzer goes off, it means that part is a liability, not just a quirk. Watch for these signals throughout every demo. The cost tag is your return on investment meter, how much you are spending to erase a red flag. The red light and buzzer combo is the warning shot, the instant feedback that something is out of bounds. By the end, these cues will train your eye to spot the difference between a pass and a fail, long before a surveyor ever steps aboard. For every fix, the receipt and the red flag tell the story. Learn to read them, and you will know exactly where your money and your reputation go. Wire nuts belong in household junction boxes, not anywhere near a marine electrical system. That little orange cap might seem harmless, but on a boat, it is a red flag. Twist on connectors cannot stand up to vibration. Give a wire nut a gentle tug and it pulls apart with barely any effort. In a moving boat, that is a recipe for a hidden fire hazard. Surveyors see one and know instantly, this is an amateur's shortcut, not a professional splice. Our BYCE 11.12.2.1 spells it out. Marine splices must be mechanically secure and insulated. Wire nuts fail both tests. They loosen up, let moisture in, and turn a minor wiring job into a potential insurance denial. The fix is simple and costs less than $5. Strip the wire, slide on a heat shrink connector, and crimp it tight with a proper tool. Hit it with a heat gun and the adhesive lining melts, sealing out water and locking the connection. Try pulling that apart. No chance. The result looks clean, feels solid, and passes any inspector's pull test. It is not just about following rules, it is about sending a signal that every connection is fire-safe and surveyor-proof. $5 buys you peace of mind and a green light on the inspection checklist. One twist on cap, and you are gambling with your insurance, your reputation, and your safety. crimp and shrink. That is the standard. Anything else is just rolling the dice. Wing nuts on battery terminals are a shortcut that never fools a pro. On a workbench, a wing nut spins off with a flick of the finger. No resistance, no security, just a loose promise holding back real risk. Surveyors know this move by heart. During an inspection, they will reach for the battery, give the terminal a quick twist, and if it moves, the verdict is instant: amateur. A loose battery connection is not just untidy, it is a fire hazard waiting for the right jolt of vibration. Every time the engine starts or the hull slaps a wave, those wing nuts can back off, leaving the connection loose enough to spark or arc. That is how intermittent faults and electrical fires begin. It is the kind of detail that shows up in survey reports as negligent maintenance, and it is one of the fastest ways to get flagged for insurance denial. The fix is as basic as it gets. Stainless steel hex nuts cost about $3 for a pack. Swap out the wing nut, drop the hex nut on the stud, and tighten it down with a real wrench. That is the difference between finger-tight and torqued. The right tool makes the connection solid, no play, no wiggle, just a locked-down electrical path that can stand up to pounding seas or a season in storage. Inspectors know the feel of a proper connection. When they check and the terminal does not budge, that is a green light. It is not about overkill, it is about showing you understand what keeps a battery safe and reliable. For less than the price of a sandwich, you buy credibility and you shut down one of the oldest red flags in the book. Bare battery terminals are a surveyor's instant red flag. There is no mystery here. An exposed positive post reads as both a fire risk and an electrocution hazard. It is the kind of shortcut that says, nobody finished the job. One accidental drop of a wrench or even a stray wire brushing past, and you have a direct path to a short circuit. That is why every professional install finishes with a terminal boot, bright red rubber, snug over the post, shielding metal from wandering tools and curious hands. The fix is as straightforward as it gets. Slide the boot on until it covers the entire lug. It is not about hiding sloppy work, it is about making the hazard invisible to fingers and tools. The difference is obvious the moment you compare. A bare terminal looks unfinished, while a booted terminal signals diligence. Surveyors notice this detail instantly. The boot is not just a cap, it is a visual cue that someone took the time to eliminate a preventable risk. $8 buys a pack of proper boots, enough to cover every battery post on board. If you are caught without the right part, there is a hack that passes muster in a pinch. Take a length of red hose, slit it lengthwise, and wrap it around the cable or post. Cinch it tight with a couple of zip ties. It is not elegant, but it blocks accidental contact and shows you understand the principle. Visible insulation matters. Surveyors are not just checking boxes, they are looking for evidence that you know how to break the chain between a loose tool and a dead short. One missing boot can cost you an insurance sign-off. For $8, you buy peace of mind and a clean report. A single hose clamp on a through hull fitting is a silent dare to fate. Surveyors spot it in seconds, the lone band of metal barely holding back the sea. One clamp might feel snug, but all it takes is a hidden crack, a rusty screw, or a sharp jolt to send it spinning loose. That is why PROs always double up. First, the host slides a clear hose onto a brass fitting, cinching it down with one stainless clamp. A quick tug test, just enough pressure to mimic a careless boot or a season's worth of vibration, shows how little stands between dry feet and a flooded bilge. Then comes the upgrade, a second clamp, offset 180 degrees from the first. Each screw gets its own bite on the hose, spreading out the pressure and covering for its partner if one fails. This is not overkill, it is redundancy you can see. $4 buys 2 clamps, but what you are really paying for is visible insurance. Surveyors do not guess. They look for backup plans. Double clamps send a clear message: if one fails, the other stands guard. That is the difference between a pass and a sinking risk. Proof that small details, done right, are worth every penny. A hose fitting that pulls free under pressure is a silent invitation for disaster. Surveyors know that even the best clamp can fail because corrosion, vibration, or a careless tug can break the chain. That is why the pros look for backup. Here is the trick. Grab a soft wooden bung, drill a hole through the center, and thread a length of fishing line or sturdy cord. Tie one end to the bung and the other end to the fitting itself. Now, if the worst happens and a hose slips or a clamp gives out, you have a plug ready to go right where you need it. The wooden bung acts as an emergency stopper, soft enough to wedge into a leaking pipe, tough enough to hold back the flow. It is a $15 insurance policy that sits in plain sight, telling anyone who checks that you are thinking 2 steps ahead. No fancy tools, no special parts, just a simple tethered solution that buys precious time when the margin for error is razor thin. That is the kind of detail that stands out, even in a crowded report. A dirty bilge is the fastest way to lose a surveyor's trust. Oil stains, rust streaks, and old debris aren't just cosmetic, they are evidence. When a bilge looks neglected, surveyors start asking tough questions. Is there a slow leak? Hidden corrosion? What else is being ignored? That is why professionals swear by the white glove test. One pass with a clean glove, and any grime left behind becomes a red flag for deeper problems. The fix is as basic as it gets. $10 buys a bottle of heavy-duty degreaser. Pour it in, grab a scrub brush, and do not stop until every surface is spotless. The difference is immediate. A clean bilge signals discipline, not neglect. Surveyors see a bright, grease-free compartment and recognize someone who is paying attention. It is not about perfection. It is about showing you care enough to erase every doubt. For the price of a lunch, you turn a potential deal-breaker into a quiet stamp of approval. A sharp cotter pin leg sticking out from a shroud or turnbuckle is more than a nuisance. It is a silent accusation. Surveyors notice these unfinished details immediately. One pin left with its ends poking out can snag a rag, catch a line, or even tear skin. In their eyes, it is the signature of a rushed job, a shortcut that says, "I did not bother to finish." Years ago, as a rookie inspector, I flagged a boat for this very thing. The owner protested, but the report stood. Sharp hardware reads as careless, and careless gets you labeled. The fix is almost laughably cheap. A roll of white rigging tape costs $6 and it lasts years. Wind it smoothly around the legs of the cotter pin. Press it down so it hugs the metal, leaving no edge exposed. The difference is immediate. The tape transforms a hazard into a clean, finished surface. No snags, no cuts, no questions. Surveyors run a finger over the tape and move on. That is the standard. Every pin wrapped, every edge tamed. For the price of a coffee, you erase a red flag and buy yourself a reputation for doing things right. A surveyor's pen hovers the moment they spot an unlabeled switch or a mystery wire. It is not about guessing what powers what, it is about trust. Every missing label is a silent accusation, and if you can't name it, you probably haven't checked it. That is why professionals invest in a label maker. For $20, you print clear, permanent tags, no fading, no peeling, no excuses. Stick fresh water pump on the right switch and you've just closed the case on confusion. Order radiates from small details. Next comes the extinguisher. Surveyors do not just check for presence, they look for proof of recency. An undated tag reads as neglect, no matter how shiny the canister. The PRO move costs nothing. Flip the extinguisher upside down, give the base a sharp tap with a mallet to loosen the powder, and then write today's date on the inspection tag with a black marker. That single act transforms a piece of gear into evidence of ongoing care. It is a timestamp, a handshake between owner and inspector. Labels and dates are more than housekeeping. They are forensic clues that someone is paying attention. In the world of surveys, that is the difference between a quick nod and a deeper investigation. A maintenance log is the single most powerful artifact you can put on the table. While surveyors scan for neat wiring and tidy hardware, their eyes always come to rest on written proof, dates, details, and signatures that show someone has been paying attention. The act is simple. Open the logbook. Write today's date. Jot down the task. For example, checked battery terminals. Double clamps secure. Bilge clean. Sign your name. Each entry is a timestamp, a breadcrumb trail of diligence that can tip the balance when a surveyor weighs isolated flaws. Maybe a clamp shows a hint of rust, or a label has started to peel. A current log tells a different story. This is not neglect. This is active management. Surveyors know that even the best-kept boats develop small issues. What matters is the evidence of steady hands and routine checks. A handwritten log, even on a $5 notebook, carries more weight than a dozen receipts or a stack of parts. It is the ultimate override, a paper shield against the label of negligence. When the surveyor flips through a log filled with recent specific entries, they see an owner who is ahead of the curve, not scrambling to catch up. Surveyors do not just spot flaws, they spot habits. In today's market, boats that show visible care and organized fixes avoid thousands of dollars in denied claims and in lost sales, all for the price of lunch. Standards like ABYCE 11 are not just technical, they are signals of diligence. The smallest details speak loudest. Your reputation is built or broken on what you fix before anyone is watching. Share your own surveyor secrets in the comments.